What's up, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a great day today. We are officially on day 9 of our $0 to $1 million challenge, and I must say we've got some things that are going really well. We've got some things that we're being really challenged by, and I'll talk about that here on the live stream. But I was just thinking about, you know, just the challenges in building a business, and I believe that building a business is one of the most transformational experiences that a human could ever have. This is this is a dojo. When me and Aaron were talking last week, we literally called the studio the dojo because this is where we practice being the best versions of ourselves. And hey, Christopher, thanks, man. Appreciate the acknowledgement. And by the way, if you're joining live, I can see the chat today, so we were able to get everything set up with the syncing up the YouTube account with our OBS, which is the streaming software that we're using. So, dude, appreciate the acknowledgement. But yeah, in terms of the just the overall reflection of building a business, it is one of the most transformational things that any human can do, and especially when you're running a team. Leadership, I would say, is probably like the most challenging part of building a big business, and it's not just leadership of other people, because in order to lead others, you've got to be willing and able to lead yourself. And so you can only bring a group of people to where you're willing to go yourself. And so that's why it's been so important from the very beginning to identify what the non-negotiables are. For what are my non-negotiables personally? What are my non-negotiables for business, of just how I'm going to show up? Because if I can control that, which is really the only thing I can control, then I'm going to just trust in everything else to be a mirror for me of where I need to improve and where I need to get better at. And that's really what business is as a leader, your business is always going to be a reflection of who you've been. And so the challenges are they're well received and they're welcomed, because it's showing me how I can become a better leader and how I can show up more powerfully and more in tuned, and it's keeping me accountable to becoming the best version of myself. So I love business for that reason. I love business for that reason. It's a great reflection and a great mirror, so that we can continually become better humans. But in terms of the challenges that we're having, we've got, as if you've been following along, we've got another arm of our business that we are building alongside of an arm that we've been running for a while. We've got a whole team dedicated to that. So we are basically starting from essentially ground zero. So me, Aaron, the founder of Sales Momentum, who's in Paris right now giving a talk at a mastermind. Him and I are essentially running most of the pretty much running all of the sales, and then we also have some amazing team members that are on the fulfillment side of things, just making sure that anybody that we sell into this new program, that they're being well taken care of. But we're still short staffed, so this is going to be a really fun journey for you guys to kind of see along the way of like how we're building and how we're solving some of the constraints and the challenges. And we're also running a model that of ground zero. And our goal is to build this out organically. So hire salespeople at the right time. So that's why me and Aaron are so committed to basically running the sales front, because most founders, most business owners are stuck starting off as a one-man show. But then most of the time, one of the very last things that most founders will get out of is sales. And sales is such an important piece of the whole equation, because if we can nail sales, that's the front end acquisition system where if sales is doing really well, everything else is, figure outable. And so if we don't have sales coming in, fulfillment doesn't matter. We don't have more case studies and things to market. So that's why the intention here is for us to really just focus on how do we best sell our program, and what are we learning through the sales process. So yesterday I had 2 sales calls booked on the calendar. We had 2 show, and had some great conversations, but one of them I disqualified from the process, was able to give some feedback to our marketing team that is running our ads and putting together the experience that somebody has whenever they're opting into our funnel. And also had a really good conversation, and end up being a nurture for the future. Those are my first 2 sales calls. I actually had one scheduled on Friday, but they ended up rescheduling until today. So I had my first 2 sales calls yesterday, and I've sold a lot of things in my life, and anytime that you're selling a new offer, despite how much sales experience you might have, there's always a little bit of a learning curve of like, all right, what is landing here? What's going to be the best way to find the problem, and then identify the solution and frame the solution, assume that it is a good fit, frame the solution as the perfect solution for that problem. So still figuring that out, and man, it's also very humbling, which is great. The other thing that I reflected on yesterday is, because this process is so humbling, there's very few moments in business, and there's very few moments in life where we get a chance to be a beginner again. Most of the time, as humans, we gravitate towards the things that we feel confident in, the things that we feel that we have like a rhythm around, and getting outside of our comfort zone and getting humbled is uncomfortable. And so it's, kind of sometimes like painful, especially to the ego. And so there's a natural proclivity to like move away from that discomfort, or move away from that pain. And so it's just a really good reminder to continue to lean in, and not just like lean in and embrace the suck or embrace the pain of it, but actually like get into a place of curiosity of like, all right, let me observe how I'm showing up in this moment and how I'm relating to this experience of being a beginner, because it's so rare in life that we get a chance to be a beginner at something. And anything that you do over and over and over again, you're going to get better at it. You're going to get more clear. You're going to be able to execute better. And so I know that this is just a process that we have to go through in order to become masters of our craft, masters of running this side of the business. And so, yeah, that mindset has really helped me continue to just lean in, continue to show up powerfully and not lean out. Because again, it's the, I feel like I'm almost running an experiment on myself. I'm the scientist and the experiment all at the same time. I'm measuring to see like how I'm interfacing with some of these challenges, and how this feeling of humility is impacting my ego, some of my thoughts, and if I can catch them there at how they're impacting my thoughts. What I don't want is, I don't want my thoughts, those initial default thoughts, to control how I show up. So you guys probably have heard that cycle of like, your thoughts create your behaviors, and your behaviors impact your results, and those results will reinforce the thoughts again. And so I'm trying to keep a lot of consciousness. I'm just trying to stay very aware of what's happening in between the actual thought and the activity and the behavior, so that I can intentionally show up and intentionally behave in a way that's aligned with results that aren't here yet. So frankly, so this is why building a business is so transformational, because you have no choice but to be really aware of how your thoughts are impacting the way that you show up. And even if the results aren't there to reinforce, you showing up powerfully, you just have to make that choice. Making the choice of showing up powerfully no matter what is the thing is the hack that we just have to learn and kind of, hack hack the system of our mind and our body, and like how everything inside of our human is interfacing. So anyway, I just wanted to start off with that, because that's just a big reflection that I had this morning as I was sipping my coffee and getting ready for a great day, which I am fired up about today. Not for any other reason other than I get to be a beginner again, and I get to show up. We do have lots of cool things happening, but again, I just wanted to share that with you. So with that being said, we are going to take a look at some of the numbers. I was able to get those numbers set up from yesterday, and let's see if this works. There we go. Oh, that is not the one. Is it the one? Where is this being pulled from? I don't know where this is being pulled from. I don't even see this view on my screen. Well, this is awkward. Okay, I think this is it. Nope, that's not it. All right, well, let's go back here. Let me just try this one more time. Bear with me, folks. Again, I am a beginner at this. This is what it looks like to be humbled. Man. All right, I'm going to try one more thing here. All right, we'll go into... Yeah, sorry about this, guys. Geez, I have no idea why my screen capture is not working. All right, let's try this. Nope, that's still not the right. There might be something wrong with my my hardware here. All right, well, I'll just cover my my numbers. Sorry about that, folks. Again, we're building this airplane as we're flying it. So just a recap. So I'm gonna actually go through the numbers from all of last week. So so today's day 9. I have the numbers from day 8, which was yesterday. But I want to go through the numbers for the entire week last week. So so first of all, we had for last week in total, the number of calls that we booked from our funnel were 12. From there, we actually had 27 low ticket offer purchases, and that's a combination of our Launchpad asset as well as our baseline asset, which, by the way, if I know you can't see it up on the screen, but the sheet that we've been using to track our progress is the actual baseline asset. And there's actually much more involved in the baseline asset than what we're showing each day. There's a bunch of calculations and a bunch of numbers. The idea is that we want to get a baseline for the trailing 90 days. Now, in our situation, we're literally starting this from scratch. But the way that we generally use this is we get a baseline, which averages out the last 90 days of numbers, looking at leads, number of calls booked, number that showed, deals closed, bunch of different numbers that we've been tracking along the way. And it automatically calculates some of our velocity metrics, such as what is our call to set average, our lead to booking rate, what's our show percentage, closing percentage, offer percentage, what's our average deal size, offer to close, cost per book call. So there's all these velocity metrics that are included in the baseline that we're calculating once we have the mass metrics, which is like the number of leads and the number of calls that we book. So the baseline asset is one of those low ticket offers that we're using as a way to generate leads into our funnel. So having said that, if you would like to get into our funnel, go ahead and download your baseline asset below. It is in the description of this. You can check it out. It's actually a super valuable asset to be able to use to get, again, the last 90 days, get that baseline, essentially what's the average over the last 90 days, and then being able to track each day forward over the next 3 months and focusing on one key KPI. So if it's like the lead to booking percentage, or if it's the show rate, or if it's the close rate, or whatever the case may be, picking that one KPI and then optimizing that entire month to just focus on that, whether it be split testing, whether it be just honestly focusing on that number. What I've recognized in running a sales team is that anything that you can measure can be impacted, but it won't be impacted unless you're actually focused on it. And so the philosophy of the baseline asset is focus on one new KPI each month, and that over the course of a year will give you 12 metrics that you're making an impact on, and really just spending that month focused on that one metric. And then at the end of that month, you reevaluate to see, did we increase? Did we decrease? Did we stay the same? The idea is to be increasing these particular metrics that you're focused on each and every single month. So again, at the end of 12 months, you've just increased lots of metrics by, even if it's just 2%, 4%. In some cases, a 4 or 5% increase in lead to booking can literally like double revenue because it's so high up in the funnel. And so it doesn't take a whole lot to make massive impacts on revenue, profit margins, etc. So very powerful tool. So that's exactly what we're using here. And we've added in some things that we're also tracking along the way. So going back to our numbers, we've had 27 low ticket offer purchases last week. We're also tracking our YouTube strategy. So the strategy here is we wanted to keep it really simple. So we're running these live streams every single morning and Monday through Friday. And the Fredditor on our team, you've probably heard us talk about the Fredditor if you've been following along, but he is an absolute beast with editing. He'll take these live streams, chop them up into 3 different shorts to go out that same day. So we've been executing that strategy Monday through Friday. Over the weekend, we're still putting out shorts, but we're committing to 3 throughout the week. And then just on Saturday and Sunday of this past week, we ended up doing 1 short per day. So in total, we did 13 shorts over the course of last week. What that did to our subscriber count is we ended up getting 22 new subscribers. So we are also beginners at YouTube. So we are figuring out what the people on YouTube want. But we ended up getting 22 new subscribers, which is awesome. That's 22 more lives that we can impact, which is super exciting for us. And then in terms of the views, we did see a correlation between, the days that we have live streams and the days that we execute this strategy of putting out 3 shorts. we'll go from, on like over the weekend, we were averaging like 300 views on our YouTube versus whenever we execute this strategy. Day 2 was over 2,300 views. Day 3 was 1,700 views. Day 4 was 1,200 views, a little over that. Let's see, actually on Sunday, we had 2,021 views, which is interesting because we only had one short that we posted and we weren't doing a live stream on that day. So this is interesting information. We'll see how things continue to unfold. Yesterday, by the way, we only had 756 views, which is still pretty awesome. We started off this journey, and our very first day of executing this, we had 641 views. So in total, last week we had 8,631 views. So and just a recap from yesterday, we had 2 calls that were booked from our marketing funnel. We had 2 low ticket offer purchases. We ended up posting 3 shorts yesterday, got 2 new subscribers and 756 views on YouTube. Going into some of the other metrics, and I wish I could show this to you guys. I'll see how I can make sure that tomorrow we get this sorted out. But nonetheless, the ad spend last week, for all of last week, was $2,677 in ad spend. Yesterday, we did $437 in ad spend. And so what we ended up doing all of last week was 88 leads. So again, we had $2,677 in ad spend to generate 88 leads. So that is where we ended up last week. Yesterday was $437 to generate 12 leads. And the other thing that we're tracking is outbound calls. Now, outbound calls, this is a constraint right now. Right now we have Julietta on our team, who does a lot of things across the organization. But we have her doing some outbound dials. Her main thing when it comes to getting these calls booked is executing our confirmation process, which we've actually found that this confirmation process has more of an impact on show rates than really anything else that we've ever done before. In fact, I'll show you what we're doing because I think it. Actually, I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you what we're doing because my screen share isn't working, but we'll try it one more time. I'd love to show you what we are doing inside of HubSpot to track all of our appointments, how we're confirming, how we're actually using a new object inside of HubSpot called the appointment object. So we built a confirmation pipeline, and our confirmation specialist, which is the role that Juliet is kind of acting in with confirming our appointments. She's going into the appointment pipeline and confirming these appointments. The way that this is all built as well is that if an appointment gets canceled, whether it gets canceled by the prospect, whether it gets canceled by the person that's actually taking the call, or it gets canceled by the confirmation specialist, there's 3 different areas inside of HubSpot where it needs to update. It needs to update the contact properties, and we have contact properties that are like, the discovery call outcome, the discovery call date and time. We also have those properties on the deal record as well. So actually the way that we have this set up is that on the deal record, we have the outcome of that particular disco, and we like to keep it on the deal because there's always a potential in any system for, especially inside of HubSpot, there's always the potential of a contact having multiple deals. And so what we want to be able to track what did it take in order to actually close that particular deal, and it kind of reset and have a new set of properties if there are, let's say, other deals into the future, whether it's an upsell deal or a renewal deal or whatever the case may be. However, on the contact record, we're also tracking what the outcome of the discovery call and the closing call and the actual naming convention of it is instead of, the disco outcome, it is the last disco that was conducted. What was the outcome of that particular one? So on the contact record, it's always going to show what the last disco outcome was, or the last closing call outcome, or the last closing call booked. And on the deal record, there's just that one property that's meant to be like a stamp of this was the these are the calls that are essential inside of the sales process in order to close a deal, and so we're stamping it, and that is kind of encapsulated in the deal record. So now how the appointment object plays into that is that we have that appointment object associated with the contact as well as the deal. Man, I wish I could show you guys this, because I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here and make this confusing. Nick, what's up, dude? Thanks for the love. Good to see you guys engaging in the chat. So how the appointment object interfaces with the contact and the deal object is we have association labels for both of those. So anytime that an appointment gets confirmed, or if it gets canceled by the prospect, canceled by our team, whatever the case may be, we have all these outcomes that could potentially happen. But if it happens on one of these records, whether it's the deal record, the contact record, or the appointment record, it updates everything else. Which is a very important thing to have. So that way, if it gets canceled by, let's say, Julietta, who's the confirmation specialist right now, if it gets canceled by her, it's also canceling on the rep side, whoever's taking that call. So, and you can imagine why that's important. So anyway, I'd love to show that to you. We'll try one more time to see if we can make that work. But anyway, that's our process. And if I can't show it to you guys today, then I'll try to get it working so I can show it to you tomorrow. All right. So number of outbound calls last week, we did 90. So generally what we like to see is like a true setter that's dedicated to outbound dialing should be able to crank out, at least 100 on a busy day, but more like, 200 and 250 outbound dials, which we actually could use. We've got, like I said, we generated 88 leads last week. So we definitely need some firepower on the setter side of things, where again, we're building this from scratch. So you're going to see how we're making these decisions. And when we're bringing somebody in, we're actively looking for somebody to get into the setter role. So if you guys know anybody that is looking to be a setter on a great team and really be able to be an expression of what it is that we do for the world and what we do for our clients, and play a role in that, and would be excited about systems, then I would love to talk to them. So we definitely need to solve for the constraint there, because our lead to booking primarily right now is being held up simply by our marketing funnel. So again, we got to get some firepower on the setter side. So big constraint that we're looking to solve over the next week or two. Next metric here are the total amount of inbound bookings. So last week we had 6. We actually had 2 yesterday, which is pretty cool. So yeah, out of those 6, we ended up completing 6. So that was actually, we ended up completing 8, but 2 of them were booked from the previous week. So show rate's doing pretty dang well. And again, I think a lot of it is just the way that we are confirming our appointments. Last week, we also made, looks like 3 offers and ended up closing 1 deal. So we are at about a 33% close rate, pretty small sample size. Admittedly, we're also, trying to figure out the best way to efficiently be able to pitch this new offer. So we will continue to share the learnings on that. But in terms of the revenue that we generated all last week, it was, let's see, just under 6K. So we had one deal that we closed that we got in at the grandfathered price. I think we mentioned to you guys last week that We started off at like a beta price of $5,000 to get into this new offer, and then with each new kind of tier of people, we've got like the early bird pricing, then we've got like tier one pricing. So our intention is to start small, build it up from there. Also, admittedly, we're still kind of building out this community. I recorded a ton of videos yesterday, and this week we'll be, also recording lots of videos. Our internal objective is to have the entire course, which we already have kind of laid out in terms of the plan for it. It just needs to be recorded. So the internal deadline for that is at the end of this month. So we have a little over a week to finish the rest of the course. And I was talking to the team about this, just going through the list of everything that needs to be done. We still have a lot to do. Not gonna lie, it feels like we're a little bit behind on that. But we're taking strides, especially with Aaron being out. We have half the manpower of getting the course material recorded, but it is a big focus for me, and I know that some of the team is helping out with that as well. So we're doing our best. We're committed to hitting that deadline, and you'll get to see whether or not we do. But the intention certainly is to get it done. So that's where we're at, and so that's the numbers and our scorecard, reviewing that. So yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, we're having a ton of fun. This is also, the whole team, and especially me, and I know, the experience that me and Aaron had last week is we got so much done last week when we were together. Pretty much all of us have been like working virtually, and many companies, many of our clients also work virtually as well. And there's some great benefits to that. I love not having to commute, a 20, 30, 40 minute commute that I hear some of my friends have. I'm like, gosh, that seems like a waste of time. So I love not having to commute. The downside though is that you kind of feel alone, and when you're not on calls and you're kind of working on some things, which, the nature of who we are as a company is we're very innovative. And so what that requires is us having like some deep work time allocated in our schedule to innovate on things, to create things, to refine things and optimize. And so most of the time, what that looks like, in a remote type of company is everybody's at their own home, in front of a computer by themselves, working on things, and then once in a while, trying to get a hold of somebody through Slack or whatever the case may be. And so last week was a really cool experience that me and Aaron got to have, where we literally spent the entire week together. So I was staying at his house for a week straight, and so there was just a walk down the hallway in order to jam on something. What that ended up creating is a situation where we got more done in that week than probably we could have gotten done in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks. We were insanely productive. So I remember when I was selling Cutco back in the day and I was running Cutco offices, all we did, there was no such thing as virtual. This was also back in like 2006, 2007, 2008. The iPhone had just come out during that time. I don't even think FaceTime was a thing. And so very rarely were things being done virtually. If like the extent to which virtual existed was really like a phone call. And so there was, the video conferencing technology was just not there. So anyway, we were doing things in person. We had an office and everybody would come to the office. We would run our 7 a.m. huddles, and everybody would actually be there. And if somebody didn't show up, like, it would be felt. Everybody would notice, like, oh, this person isn't here. And it's just a different experience to actually be like belly to belly, communicating and interfacing in person. I really, really miss that. I'm looking forward to continuing to do that over the next 90 days or so. And that is an intention, is to have more in-person time so that we can have more weeks like we did last week. So that was a reflection from last week as well. And one of the things that, one last thing I'll say on this is, one of the things that we started implementing probably about a year and a half ago is we started doing quarterly offsites. And for a virtual team, quarterly offsites are an absolute must, because most of the time that's like the only time where we can get the humans together all in one place, feeling each other's energy, interfacing, right there live in person. And there's a different output of, experience, but there's also oftentimes an output of productivity that's totally different than being on a Zoom call together. So again, I love working remotely, and I love being, not having to commute and things like that. But man, having those moments where you're with the team and you're able to be in person, it's irreplaceable, in my opinion. So if you are a company that does that's primarily virtual, do quarterly offsites with your team. It'll change the culture and the landscape and what's possible for your business. I truly believe that. Again, that's why, being in person, being together in the studio, obviously with Aaron being in Paris this week, that's not possible, and that's not happening this week. But we're going to resume the normal programming next week, and I've just made that commitment to be, throughout the week, be in the dojo with Aaron, so that we can continue to work and carry forward our mission. And we have a big goal that we're very committed to, and this is going to be the way that we hit it. So that is the update for today. Hope you guys got something out of it. If there was something from today that really resonated with you, or if you have like a question or a comment, there's two ways that you can engage here. Number one, make sure that you're subscribed, and also leave a comment here on the YouTube live stream. So I could see all the comments, and there hasn't been that many of them, but as we build this, I trust that there's going to be more comments. So please engage. Would love to see that. Chris and Nick, thanks for commenting. This also, especially just doing this by myself, having some feedback is actually like really helpful. And there's kind of like another burst of energy that I get. When you're just talking to a screen, it can get kind of boring. So again, I don't want this to just be, doing this for me, but also if there's like meaningful conversation that you want to have on this live stream, the comments could be a great way to do that. The second way to do that is to fill out the Q&A form down below in the description. So we read those as soon as they come in. There's a Slack alert that lets me know that there's a new question that came in. If you have a question, or if there's something that you want us to demonstrate or talk about here on the live stream, we're going to use those Q&A forms to to kind of sprinkle in whatever is valuable for you and whatever is being requested. So hopefully we can reciprocate the effort of filling out the form and reciprocate it through answering the question, and hopefully make that valuable for you. So with that being said, hope you guys have an amazing Tuesday today. I know that we will. We've got a lot of things that are cranking, and I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place, and give you the update on how today went. See you guys.